Hey everyone, my name is Matthew Santoro and this is UGAHacks Hot Ones. Today we have a special guest, Jalen from BlackRock. He's a software engineer. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Hey everybody, I'm a class of 2021 UGA graduate, so go Dogs. I majored in computer science, so I'm doing my thing as a software engineer over at our swanky new office in the Atlanta Ponce City Market. If you guys are interested, definitely take a look at our early careers page at careers.blackrock.com and /early-careers. Just as much as I love technology, I love recruiting and coming back here in Athens, so thanks for having me.
Of course, we're glad to have you. So this is actually your second time doing a Hot Ones challenge here.
Yes.
How did the first one go and how are you feeling for the second one?
I think Sinan and I were kind of like hearing colors and seeing sounds. It was very crazy because it's kind of like it sneaks up on you. The first three were not that spicy at all. Last four was just kind of like a weird kind of taste, and then the last one, which I think is called the bomb.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it took us out. Like I was like pausing every other second just to get my composure together, get my thoughts together, just to finish out the challenge. I did hear for this year, someone was able to knock out all of them and just kind of walk away with 2 feet on the floor.
Yeah, we had one person in our first interview, Bob from HBCC Systems. He went through all of them, barely touched his milk.
Oh man, I got some big shoes to fill that.
Well, we have bad news. We got the bomb sauce again, but it's actually our second hottest. So we have one hotter than it this year.
Ooh.
We'll see how that goes.
All right.
Want to get to it?
We will.
All
Yes,
right.
we will. I do want to joke and say, we want to toast to it.
Oh yeah.
I do want to joke and say I used to swim, so I probably took like a 15-minute kind of power lap around Ramsey's swimming pool just to get ready for this hot.
Hype your mind up.
So I'm gonna get like a small little taste here, but we're going for the whole wing.
Okay.
That's our plan.
Not bad, not bad.
Very well marinated.
Thank you.
Who was on point for the saucing and the cooking?
Yours truly right here.
Oh, so you did everything, man. Sous chef level.
So, Jalen, we took a little dive on your LinkedIn, and we noticed that you have a kind of a history of volunteering, whether it be Habitat for Humanity, Shop with Mustang, or here at UGAHacks. So do you have a particularly fond memory from one of your volunteering experiences, and how do you find time to continue giving back to the community when you have a full-time job at BlackRock?
Absolutely. I would say Shop with the Mustang was a really cool event because you're taking kids in a lower socioeconomic environment and just really making a day special for them by taking them out during the holiday season over to the town center mall area and just really letting them let loose and getting gifts for themselves and their families.
That's awesome.
Shop with a Mustang is a program that's not exclusive to Kennesaw Mountain. There are a lot of other schools that do it as well, which is really awesome to see. And that was kind of my first look into the volunteering experience for myself. So going through that, actually using my hands to help build a house with Habitat for Humanity was really awesome. And really just continuing onwards with that, just making sure that I have time out. It doesn't have to be a day-to-day thing, but just on a more broad outlook, making sure I have time like within a month, like I'm taking a couple of days where I'm doing some type of volunteering is how I would look at things as it stands now as an employee at BlackRock. BlackRock is really good with having opportunities volunteering. Just a couple of months ago, we did a social impact codeathon. So there's a lot of organizations out there, nonprofits, that need just a little bit of help with an app that they need building or a website. And so I was on a team that was actually building a application using Flutter, which is really nice for building Swift applications for iOS as well as Android apps, just using one code base.
Wow.
And being able to build like a social networking app for that organization. So it's really cool having the opportunity kind of given to you from the company, so you're not really having to go out yourself, sell it to someone who might have that budget for you, and then actually being able to volunteer. So it's been really great.
Yeah, it's not often you get to see like computer science be applied to like giving back to the community and nonprofits. So it's awesome that you can both continue your full-time job and apply the skills you have to like nonprofit things.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Want to dig into the second one?
Let's go for it.
All right. So second up, I think we got
What's the name?
a heartbeat hot sauce with some red habanero.
Oh man, I was just saying before we started, I took my resting heart rate. It was at 86. By the end of this, I think it'll be in the triple digits.
We'll have to check.
There's kind of sweetness to it.
I kind of
That's scary when it starts off sweet. It'll get real spicy on you real quick.
All right. So like I mentioned before, it's been about almost exactly a year since the last time you were here, which means a whole nother year of software engineering experience.
Absolutely.
Have you found that there was anything that you, looking back now, that you improved on a ton since then, or any new things that you've learned since the last time you were here at Hot Ones?
Yeah, sure thing. I'm gonna take one more sip of water. It's already starting to affect me. So yes, a year in, doing my 9 to 5, wearing my big boy pants, doing the thing. I learned so much at BlackRock. We have a really great rotational program where every 6 months you're rotating to a new team within our Aladdin product group. So for me specifically, I was rotating through teams that worked on really advanced algorithmic approximations or modeling for our portfolios. We also did a lot with accounting, our accounting platform as well. So I started off with the formal background being in Java because we're mostly learning Java in school, at least here at UGA. So it was really good for me to continue with that language that I was already familiar with. For my third rotation, I did switch over to using more front-end work. So right now I'm working on Angular, React, that's more TypeScript, a little bit of more of kind of a culture shift because the way front-end works is almost completely different than back-end. Like you have to think about things differently with like the life cycle of a web component and how you can update data on a web page. So for me, it wasn't as straightforward, but that was kind of the fun in it too, is like figuring something new out. And that's what I really enjoyed about going through the rotational program here at BlackRock versus just joining one team. You do learn a lot when you're joining a team, but having to do that like 4 times is like really good in upskilling your technical skills, your soft skills, getting opportunities for like stretch assignments, and definitely volunteering opportunities as well. So I would say first year in, it's been a really great experience. There have been times that were challenging. You know, I'd have to reach out to multiple people to be able to fully understand the task that I was working on. What you'll have is a really big project, and you're just kind of like a little piece of working towards getting that project completed. So it's kind of like working on your semester-long mobile app development curriculum, or for our, which class was it? Web development. We had a really cool project in web development here at UGA, where you kind of connected all the pieces together between HTML, CSS to make a web page look good, as well as JavaScript, which makes a web page functional. So it's kind of like that. You have an overarching scope, an overarching vision of your product, and then you just kind of drill it down into actionable user stories, or tickets as we call them, and you just really punch out those tickets on a piecemeal basis to work towards chipping away towards that goal. So really, really awesome experience.
So you mentioned a lot of different technologies throughout that talk right there. Did you find that a lot of what you learned in school was immediately applied when you got the full-time job, or did you find that you did most of your learning on the job at BlackRock?
It was a little of column A and column B, right? So the programming languages, UGA had a really good curriculum with having us learn in Java, C, C++. If you take web development, you'll learn kind of the basics of foundational web development, which is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but you have so much more in the way of like frameworks, right? So in an enterprise context, you're building towards performance, stability, scalability. So that's more than just learning the language itself. Now you have to apply different design patterns. You have to apply different frameworks like your Angular, your React models to help your developers continue building out products in a much more scalable way that helps out more people, which are what we like to talk about is we are our own clients within BlackRock. So if we can make it easier for developers to use tools, we love doing that. If we can make it just a little bit more stable for our messaging to go through different applications, we prioritize that as well. Right. So there's a lot that goes into to learning the foundation of the programming language, and then building that up to, hey, I know how to like use a hammer. How can I move up to like using a more complex tool, like a multi-tool, or something that's very specialized in the way of frameworks and design patterns? So it all builds up from what we learned in college.
Yeah. So I think that like a lot of new grads coming to the workforce face some kind of imposter syndrome because there's so much to learn. Did you feel like once you got into BlackRock, you felt that imposter syndrome, or did you feel like you hit the ground running and you knew exactly what you were doing?
No, so it was like definitely imposter syndrome. The very first rotation I had was probably like the hardest rotation I've had thus far. You do have a lot of orientation that you're going through, so that's getting your environment set up, so you have like the nitty-gritty proxy issues and things like that. But you would also have, you know, learning about the business as a whole. That's part of your developer, like your responsibilities. So I would say imposter syndrome is real, but it is manageable. The way you can manage that and the way I've managed that is understanding, hey, I'm here for a reason. Like all I've done through my 4 years and previously in school to learn what I needed to know to apply for this job that really wanted me to, you know, extend an offer to me. So now I'm here. So you can nip that in the bud that, you know, I'm not good enough for my job. Now you have to take active measures in helping yourself understand the technological portions of your job as well as the non-technical. So that's like your speaking skills, how to draft an email, like a professional email. So that was probably like the harder things for me to learn. Is like, how do I?
You don't learn that.
Yeah, like you just kind of say like, hey Jim, who's like a managing director. You kind of want to start off with a more professional email before you just hit them up on Teams. But after you build that rapport, like most definitely have a couple of people around the office that, you know, you can just have conversations with. You don't have to, you know, be all buttoned up, very formal in the communications for certain topics, or rather just like casual conversation. If there's something that's like business related, definitely keeping that professional. The learning how to do that was like fed into my imposter syndrome because I didn't know how to do it at all. But all it took was just asking my manager, other analysts who had joined a year before me or the year before them, kind of what they did. How do you communicate with your manager? How do you communicate with someone who's like 2 levels above you? What do they value? Because that's a big thing in business, is learning how to communicate effectively. So what that entails is making sure that your audience is really gaining some insights that they can take away from. Because you can say a lot, and if nobody's interested in what you're saying, like you just spoke for 30 minutes and nothing really came out of that. So a really good question to ask yourself is, who is this guy in this audience? What does he value? Like, what is his day-to-day job? What are his responsibilities? What are some of the questions that he may ask me? And this is before the presentation already happens. What are some questions that he can ask me that I can go ahead and already hit on, so that I can get a baseline started for conversations and further questions and discussions.
You really got to put yourself in the seat of the audience.
Exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's good to know.
Absolutely.
All right, ready to get to the third one?
Halfway there.
Next
Let's do
up,
it.
we got Son of Zombies. Encouraging as always.
Awesome.
All right, here we go.
Yes, sir. Also, another sweet wing. We had a chili cook-off in November for Giving Day, and we had about eight people around the office bring their crock pots in. Someone had brought the most insanely hot chili. It was insane,
no.
and I'd like to think, because I did this last year, that I kind of built up a tolerance to chili. That one took me out.
Not at all.
Not at all. So I love chili. I love kind of the tailgate finger foods like wings, burgers, sliders. We were just over at a restaurant yesterday, World Famous. They have a really nice waffle kind of BLT sandwich. Very interesting. I don't think I'd have it again because it's like way outside the spectrum of having breakfast and then like a lunch sandwich together. So it was very interesting, but I'd say my palate is expanding since I last been here, and it's been good so far.
Awesome. Well, for our next question, some people, they're born out of the womb, they know they want to code, they know they want to be a software engineer. How did you know and when did you know that you wanted to do software engineering as a career long term? Was there a specific class, a teacher, a project that really sparked your interest?
Yeah, that is a good question. I'll think about it a little bit as I tackle this one. Man, as soon as you said that was a zombie hot sauce, I went back to like when I was 12 years old and I first got introduced to Call of Duty, it was because of Call of Duty Zombies. I am and will continue to forever be a huge gamer. And that leads into my story because I used to have a Game Boy Advance. I used to have a PSP, you know, your Nintendos, your Wiis, and I was just gaming like whenever I had the chance. So I think that really sparked to me an interest in technology. Like, how do you actually sit here with a tube TV with something connected to it, and when I push this button, I can see, you know, Batman beating someone up, or I can see someone doing parkour or on Skate 3, like a kickflip. How do you actually, and at the time I was only like 10 years old, how do you get this box? All it was to me was a box to show like all these images and these cool sounds and all these stories that they are able to tell through games. So I will say it was like through gaming where I got my first interest into coding.
Okay.
Where that led me to was probably in middle school that had the robotics program, so you were able to interface the hardware using software. So how we have it now with Arduinos, like microcontrollers, it's really easy to connect with different hardware interfaces and code with those. It was kind of the same deal with our robotics club. So that was in middle school, and then that really got like the juices flowing for me. I'm like, okay, this might be something that I knew I had a knack for, because like I was taking time out of my day to like learn more about it and like continue going to those club meetings, and really just continue with that interest. In high school, I was just super lucky that Kennesaw Mountain had an AP track for computer science. So it was kind of like all laid out for me in the formal training sense to learn more about computer science. I don't know if you guys have heard of Scratch by MIT.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the orange cat guy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of really cool because you're learning about programming in a Lego building type of context.
Step by step.
So step by step, so you can like drag and drop different code blocks, and they're kind of like puzzle pieces, so certain blocks will only fit with another. So it kind of trains your mind in thinking like, hey, you can't do certain things like a while loop and something crazy within a while.
Right.
So that's how I got like my very first like programming start, was way back when I was like 10 years old. Moved on to robotics, then started doing Scratch and learning about Java in high school. And then for college, by the time I was a junior in high school, I was like, yeah, computer science as a major is what I want to do.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I went on to
pretty
UGA.
early.
I know, right? I know. Talking about it, you would think that it's just any old thing, but no. I feel like the gaming portion is not as popular as I thought it would to be. And sometimes I do feel like, dang, if I really just stuck with the gaming portion, just became a streamer instead, and started just playing games for 24 hours a day, like it might be a better proposition for me. But
Like
I don't,
down the road when you retire. Or
exactly,
something.
exactly. And I don't have like the mental fortitude or the dexterity to do these things that all these crazy people who are getting like paid millions of dollars
Right.
to do across different games. So stuck with the coding and able to sit here and talk to you about it.
Awesome. Did you find that there was a specific course while in college, because you are a Georgia alum, that you found was most useful translating to a full-time role? Or maybe a professor that you particularly liked the most?
Oh my gosh, so I know he got a promotion, but Dr. Cotterell, he was the first teacher I've ever had in a computer science course. So he taught 1301, which is Intro to Computer Science. There's a lot of great professors in the computer science curriculum, but I would say him and Iman Saleh also was a really great teacher. She did data structures and algorithms. So I would say those are the two kind of key classes that I've took that really either reintroduced like a new format of technology for me in the way of reintroducing, learning new things about technology. Data structures and algorithms was that new thing that everybody goes through. It's hard when you first do it, but once you get the knack of things, like you kind of start seeing the patterns of different problem statements where you can apply those algorithms to like what's the best data structure to use. For making sure that I am on the right path, when I took 1301, you kind of have like those easy like homework assignments, and then you have the really cool, like at the end of the semester, like you have to build, I think, 2 games using Java effects. So like going back to the whole game thing, like when we were able to create a project, one was Tetris and the other was checkers. You know, we had 3 in a group, being able to get down, you know, to business, sit down over at Driftmeyer or at like the SLC or like in our dorm rooms and just kind of hack away at things it was really cool to see like our idea kind of manifest itself in like an actual usable thing. And so for me, it just kind of reaffirmed would be the right word.
Did you feel yourself like reverting back to a 12-year-old, like back in front of like the
Yeah,
computers?
essentially, like you would just kind of sit there and be like, just like, this really works, and you're just moving a checker piece back and forth. Like, this really works.
I did this.
Yeah, I did this. So I don't know for you, like, what were some of your moments where you're like reaffirming for yourself, like this is what I really want to do.
Yeah, I think so. My first introduction to computer science in general was also not until my senior year of high school, and I had like AP computer science principles. So
Yes.
yeah, so I think we touched on some of the Scratch stuff too, and it was very minimal stuff. But at the end of that course, we got to like kind of just do your own thing, like a final project.
Okay.
I think me and my partner made some kind of like mini like a soccer like game, like
Oh,
a
nice.
pixelated soccer game, and like you said, like being able to see yourself like, you know, produce something that you can actually use and move
Right.
around, like no matter how small it is, it was really a proud moment for me to like see like I did that, I can do
Exactly.
that, and I want to see where that can go.
Where that can go.
Yeah.
That's the even like more exciting thing for me is like seeing where it can go, which is why I really enjoy going out to hackathons. So I think I went to UGAHacks 3 and UGAHacks 5 as a student, and then obviously came back here for UGAHacks 7 and UGAHacks 8 as a sponsor. So I'm literally just on the other side of the table a year ago. So it's been really cool as a sponsor, just seeing like all the creativity is still flowing through UGA, still flowing through the greater like southeastern region, because I went to Georgia Tech's hackathon as well. So just continuing to see like our curriculum is there, the people's creativity is there, and computer science really isn't going anywhere. It really makes me happy.
Awesome. All right, well, we're halfway done.
Halfway done?
Yeah,
Already?
we got our fourth one coming up, which
All right.
is, let's see, we got Bravado Spice Company, Black Garlic Carolina Reaper.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like top shelf.
I know.
Let's see what we got going on with this one.
Here we go.
I think what will be my downfall is I'm really tasting it for flavor. I think one of the guys was like really just chewing it, one big swallow, and just get it done over and done with.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
really like savoring it here.
not the smartest route.
Yeah,
but-
probably not the smartest. Did you also have a couple of pizza slices before this?
I've had 2 pizza slices today. That's all that's in my stomach, and hopefully it stays in my stomach.
Yeah, I heard like it was taking a couple of people out, these wings. So this one's real good. I like the flavor of it. I'm a real big garlic fan,
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
and it's got some spice to it. And it's
Wow,
starting to
that's
stick to you.
right. Yeah, I'm not so much looking forward to this next wing, but we'll get there when we come to it.
Yeah, this can wait a little bit.
This is the first wing where I feel the spice coming up a bit.
You feel it too?
Yeah, in the
There
tongue.
you go.
Yeah, getting a little sweaty. Well, we kind of touched on this a little bit in one of our first questions, but as you know, getting your first internship or getting your first full-time job is a really nerve-wracking thing, especially when you're first starting. What were some of your biggest concerns going into the industry for your first internship or full-time job? And which ones came out to be true, which ones came out to be completely false and you know didn't have to worry about it at all?
Yeah, sure thing. So for the first part, what were some concerns I had that did end up being true? Definitely being prepared for the interview. You don't want to just walk in there and not really have anything to speak on. I know a lot of people, not a lot of people, I know some people who kind of do the wing it approach, where they have their resume put together, but they really can't speak on it in the way that an interviewer might want to hear about.
Right.
So you hear like the STAR method, where you have a situation, the task at hand, what was the action, and what was the result of it. That's kind of like the industry standard way of tackling like, you know, behavioral approach questions. And for my very first interview, I didn't know about, you know, speaking on the things you did on your resume in that format. And so it was really just like saying, yeah, I did, you know, XYZ project and this class, I used this technology. I thought it was really fun, and then that was kind of the end of that conversation. Versus when I was probably 5 months down the line, when I didn't know about it, was like, hey, this was a project that I was given, these were the problem statements that we had decided upon, this was kind of our requirements. We drilled down from there to see like what were our constraints. Like you can already see like the different words you're
Right.
using in those conversations, like just elevates that conversation for you. So the concern, where I was like not being prepared, I definitely felt that, and I definitely did have a couple of situations where I wasn't as prepared as I needed to be. So that's a real concern, is just always being prepared. And a concern that I had that did not end up panning out, that's an interesting one. I'd say that the interviewers aren't like some big bad monsters that just
Right.
want to kick you out the door,
Yeah.
right? So you probably, I'm a huge fan of Reddit, so I read a bunch of different Reddit threads, and you have like those horror stories where like the interviewer brings in their dog, and like the person that's being interviewed steps on the dog, and like that whole awkwardness that
Yeah.
goes with it. So I would say I did have a sense of kind of that nerve-wracking portion where like the interviewer is kind of like out to get me, and any little thing I mess up on is done, that's books. So I'd say that concern is not as big of a deal as you might make it seem. So I'd say definitely if you get your P's and Q's, get your T's crossed, your I's dotted with your resume, making sure you can speak on it and expand on it, because everything that's on your resume is fair game for them to ask questions about. Not just what you did, but like expanding on it, like what would you do differently with this decision that you made for this project that you worked on. Are some of the types of questions you can come to expect for those types of interviews as computer science students and software engineers. I'm trying to think of another good example of a concern that I had that also was something I encountered, but I can't really think of one right now.
That's okay. So I guess going back to the STAR method and behavioral stuff, I think everyone kind of has heard of like the algorithmic problems that interviewers ask, like
Yes,
leak code and stuff. And I guess that a lot of people already know that there is leak code, there's resources like that. People don't often think about ways to prepare for like behavioral parts of the interview. Do you have any tips that you found were useful doing it, or was it just trial and error?
Yeah, sure thing. I know everybody's personality is different, so you don't want to become someone that you're not. That would be the first thing I would say. But for the behavioral interviews, all we're doing as a company that's looking to hire someone, right, is to make sure that they're a team player, that they have a good culture fit. So what you can do is whatever company you're interviewing for, you take a look at their webpage, see what their principles are, like what is their mission, what is their values, and different interesting aspects about the company that probably 90% of candidates just don't do. So if you go in there knowing, hey, I can align myself with this principle and speak on that, that's actually like a nice little ringer in their ear. One, saying that, hey, they actually did some research on us, and two, like they're actually authentically speaking about aligning themselves with our values because they did X, Y, and Z, either in a volunteering project, taking some form of leadership role, or just doing their everyday work, kind of that discipline for the coursework. Outside of that, the behavioral interview or the behavioral interviewers really like to see a smiling face. So if you're just kind of like sitting back and your body language is just like very
Like you don't want to be
yeah,
there.
crossed off, it comes across to them in that way. So you just want to be an active and engaging person in the conversation. So what that looks like is leaning up, making sure your shoulders are kind of propped back. You're not looking too nervous, but you don't have to be like all this.
Yeah.
And also making sure that your dress attire is fit for the environment that you're in. So the body language should be there, the speaking point should be there, and the personality should be kind of raising your voice and raising your smile, because there actually is a really good study that says if you smile, you'll subconsciously kind of raise your voice in a really good way that people pick up on.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, me neither. So I would say growing up, and I still have like a very introverted, like soft-spoken personality. But when I do come up to these things like Hot Ones, like I love eating food, like you get a nice little rapport around a common theme or something that you guys can talk about. It makes it so much easier to kind of just let loose and not be so uptight and nervous about the interview. So it doesn't have to be as scary as you make it seem. It will be for the first couple of times, but as you get used to it, it will definitely be a much easier time to go through.
Awesome. Well, I can't keep delaying it. The time has come.
All right.
We have the bomb, Beyond Insanity, everyone's least favorite hot sauce.
Straight chemicals, that's what it tastes like.
I'm not looking forward to this. I'm about to start crying probably.
We are.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's crazy that this is now the second hottest one versus last year.
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
It's instant. Instantaneous.
Mm.
I can't say anything good about this sauce.
Oh, that's not fun at all.
Mm-hmm.
Not one bit. Well, while this is building up, we got a series of rapid fire would you rathers.
Okay.
Alright, so first one. All songs exist in the world, whether all performed by Pitbull,
Okay.
or all artists in the world exist, but they only can sing one Pitbull song.
Mm.
What are you choosing?
I don't know. I feel like I'd want to hear more of Mr. Worldwide and his range. So I'd have to hear Pitbull and Pitbull only, and hear some Adele tracks on there. Maybe get him on some Kanye tracks.
Oh my god.
Some different rap songs, and really show out all he can do, because he is Mr. Worldwide. He's supposed to have this whole platform where he can do all these songs. So that would be my choice. One artist, Pitbull.
Cat with a human face or dog with human hands?
That is so terrifying. I would say I get super frightened. I used to have a senior project in high school where I researched about lucid dreaming, and kind of a byproduct of that is kind of a scary thing that might happen called sleep paralysis. So
I've been there.
So sleep paralysis, like, it's when your body is entering the hypnagogic state of sleep. So it's not at REM state yet. And yeah, it may not look like it, but like, this is hurting. But before you go to sleep, your brain is kind of moving into that dream state. So you're almost like dreaming, but you're still awake. And so, like, you know, in that atmosphere, in that environment, a dark room, like, your brain is running wild with its imagination. Some pretty crazy stuff can happen. And so I don't think I would want to do anything with like a face, a human face on anything that's not a human body. So I have to go with dog with human hands there.
Alright, eat whatever you want and have it be perfectly nutritious, or sleep 1 hour to be fully rested.
Ooh, so what was the first one? Eat something and be
Eat whatever you want and it's fully nutritious.
Oh man, that's a great question. I'm a huge advocate of sleeping. If I have my choice, 13-hour sleep cycles should be the scientific standard for people to get the rest. But being able to work on 1 hour of sleep is crazy good. But I do like eating burgers. I do love BLTs, nachos, sandwiches. And not having to worry about eating my veggies on the side with that, like, that's a pretty good proposition right there.
Yeah, it's a win-win either way, but
Man, I'd say I would value the food portion of it. So if I can eat anything and still get my nutritional value, I'd go for that.
Next question. Teeth for hair or hair for teeth?
Ew. Did you come up with these?
I found some of these online, don't worry.
I feel like I have a better chance than you because you got a little bit more hair than me. So I could probably work with a little bit less teeth.
It'll be a look, I mean.
Yeah, it might be like kind of like Guy Fieri. I don't know what he does to it, but it kind of looks like shark fangs.
Would you brush them every night?
I'd have to brush them every night, 2 times a day.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Would you rather have a completely obsessive, insane person love or hate you?
Ooh, I'm all about spreading love and positivity, but if it's obsessive, I don't know. I do not know about that one. I feel like being the villain in your own story kind of has its own regard to it. So if this was a story-based thing, like a fictional character, I would definitely want someone obsessively hating me. So that way I can like prove them wrong on the basketball court. Yeah.
You're the hero?
Yeah, get the hero of the story on the court in that sense.
Oh my god, I have fire in my mouth.
I know, it's like I'm drinking milk and it's like a split second of relief and it's just right back to it.
Alright, last 2 questions. Be able to speak every language or be able to speak to animals?
I want to speak every language. Like, I have never been out of the country before, so...
You don't want to talk to your dog?
Oh man, if I had a boxer, I feel like he'd understand English. He just wouldn't want to listen to me. He'll understand you, he just wouldn't want to listen to you. So I feel like animals, at least the boxer that I used to have, English is perfectly fine. But if I could learn every language, just be able to travel everywhere, learn the different cultures across the globe, that'd be a much better experience for me.
Alright, and then finally, the infamous fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Ducks are so cute, so I feel pretty good about a horse-sized duck.
You
At
think you
least-
can take a horse-sized duck?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I mean, if you really think about it, 100 duck-sized horses are essentially tearing up your Achilles, like they're tearing you up because you can't tackle 100 of them at a time. If you could just deal with one horse-sized duck on the other sense, you know, you could train it,
You have your
domesticate it.
priorities.
Right. Give
Oh,
it a
you're
name.
thinking about
Yeah,
taming it.
Taming it.
Okay.
Giving it a cute little name. I'm terrible with names, so it'll be something like Maxwell or something
Alright.
like that. But absolutely, one horse-sized duck it'd be raps for him.
Like reminds out the pacifist in you's coming out.
Absolutely.
Well, Jalen, I think we've made it to the final one. But the final wing means a final dab of sauce on it.
Woo! All
Are
right.
you okay with that?
I am.
All right. I'll let you take the first one, and I'll match whatever you do.
Okay. I think this is a really good opportunity to clear out any sinus issues you may have had.
I don't think I'll ever have sinuses
over the
again.
coming weeks or over the past week, and just have a really nice time smelling everything that you haven't smelled before in different
I'm
restaurants.
terrified of this thing coming out fast. Come on.
You should go out and get a nice cologne so you can really just take it in after this. Because I mean, your scent is just going to be on 200%.
All right. Cheers, Jalen.
Cheers. I'm kind of scared actually. Like, this is scary. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ooh. Almost felt like the breath coming out of my diaphragm. It's almost like getting a pinch in the stomach.
We've made it. So the final question is, I want you to pretend that I'm 18-year-old Jalen coming into UGA for the first time. I'm a computer science major. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. What is some advice that you would like to hear talking to your past self?
Absolutely. So, 18-year-old Jalen, all 18-year-olds that are just joining the UGA campus, being newly founded Bulldogs and future Bulldogs, I would say my piece of advice for you guys is just stay true to yourself. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to advance your skills, your, you know, in a technical sense, as well as a personality, like really being comfortable being uncomfortable. And so you might find yourself growing and changing, but you never really deviate from you, in a sense. I think for me, I had a really hard time struggling between like, this is a new place, like I don't really know anyone, should I be like this type of person so I can get more friends and, you know, have a much better college time, or should I, you know, just do this or do that? And so I had that question probably about a year in. And so after that, I really just said like, hey, I'm just gonna do me. You know, you're not gonna please everybody, you're not gonna make friends with everyone, but you can like be a happy and friendly face for everyone, most definitely. And have a conversation with someone who may disagree about you like 100% about something. I know a lot of sports people, essentially like other SEC fans who would not be the greatest of friends right now after we had beat Bama, as well as Ohio State and all these other teams that I'm probably like getting flack about. But I would say just staying true to yourself, making sure that you're not changing yourself for anyone or anything, but in that same line or that same vein, you're making sure that you're improving, right? So making sure that you're taking those volunteering opportunities to meet new people, to understand that where you grew up may be completely different from where someone else had their upbringing. Taking those chances on yourself, on being uncomfortable in different positions, like leadership positions in different clubs. Pardon. Different clubs that interest you. That really showcase and really allows you to do some introspection, some self-introspection, and really turning out a lot of questions that you might have not had the chance to answer about yourself, that you only could answer by doing things like leadership positions, doing the volunteering, you know, asking people how their day is going, like when you're just out and about at Kroger, like getting groceries, you know, just taking a chance saying hi. So for me, that was my personal experience, like being true to myself. Like I know I'm not the most like extroverted person, but I wanted to like try my hand at, you know, just speaking up a little bit more, like being more comfortable, putting myself in those situations. So that's how I developed, but I'm still the same Jalen that I always was. Like I still love cars, still love video games, still love sleeping in when I can. So there's nothing more than I would say than just staying true to yourself, but just always looking for ways to improve yourself as well.
Well, as 18-year-old Jalen, I think that's fantastic advice. That's all the questions we have today. Thank you for joining us so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I
for
wish I
having
could
me
say
again.
it was a fun time.
Yeah.
Is there
I'm
any
holding it in so well right now, but as soon as I leave, I'm like, I need all the milk in this 30-mile radius.
Is there any final things you want to say to anyone watching?
For everybody watching, thank you for coming out. I wish that you guys were able to experience all that we experienced. For my teammates over at BlackRock, we're definitely going to try the bomb at some point in time for our cook-off, our chili cook-off. So I hope you guys are ready for that. But other than that, thank you all for having me.
Thank you so much. That's it.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was brutal.
This is like devious.
The